Hello, learner. Welcome to Mr. Quakers Teaches. I'm Mr. Quakers. In this lesson, I'll be analyzing William Blake's poem, The Chimney Sweeper. Now, this analysis is part of a course in which I've analyzed all the 15 poems in the GCSE or IGCSE anthology. The course contains predicted questions that you can try your hands on, just to check your understanding of the poems or the analysis. Additionally, there are sample A-star quality or grade 9 essays that I've written, that you can sample your essays, around, or build your essays around. Now, the course, you can access the course for only £5 a month in terms of subscription, just £5 a month, or you can buy the entirety of the course again for £45 a year. That means you get to save 3 months in subscription. So that means instead of paying 60, you're paying 45. Now, additionally, we also provide other assistance as well, like tuition services. So if you're preparing for the GCSE and you need help for the other components, this is the poetry component, sorry. But if you need help with the drama, the unseen paper, or even the prose, we have like lessons that you can join either in group sessions or in one-on-one sessions as well, in which we'll teach you or prepare you, build your confidence on how to answer these English literature questions. Now, we also provide tuition as well for other subjects, for English language, sociology, history, geography. There are teachers that also provide assistance as well in the sciences, math. If any of the questions, for that matter, for the GCSE, you can reach out to us, and then sign up. What is presented on the page or on the screen, and then we can reach out to you and then help you to make sure that you excel in your pursuit and get a very, very good grade that will help you in your A level and consequently university or any other pursuits, for which reason you're trying to get this GCSE or IGCSE. Let's begin our analysis. Let's start by speaking about the poet William Blake. He was born on the 28th of November 1757 and died on the 12th of August 1827. He was an English poet, painter, and printmaker. Now, he was not really recognized in his lifetime, so he became, however, a seminal figure in the history of poetry and visual arts of the Romantic Age. What he called his prophetic works were said by 20th century critic Northrop Frye to form what is, in proportion to its merit, the least read book of poetry in the English language. While he lived in London his entire life, except for 3 years spent in Felpham, he produced a diverse and symbolically rich collection of works, which embrace the imagination as the body of God or the human existence itself. So that essentially is a brief note or summary about William Blake. If you want to know a bit more about him, you can do your own bit of research. Now, this is how the poem appears. It's quite a small poem, right? A poem that has only 12 lines, right? Essentially, in terms of the summary, it's about this speaker who is asking this little boy, where his parents are, possibly trying to find out, how he gets sustenance or who takes care of him. And the small boy tells him that, they've gone to the church, and then, the boy appears to be somebody who is working in very, very difficult situation. So that essentially is a summary of the poem. So let me begin the analysis by reading the poem, The Chimney Sweeper by William Blake. A little black thing among the snow, crying, weep, weep, in notes of woe. Where are thy father and mother, say? They are both gone up to the church to pray. Because I was happy upon the heath and smiled among the winter's snow, they clothed me in the clothes of death and taught me to sing the notes of woe. And because I am happy and dance and sing, they think they have done me no injury, and are gone to praise God and his priest and king, who make a heaven of our misery. So that essentially is a reading of the poem. Now, the poem opens with the use of imagery. So the speaker opens the poem with the description, a little black thing, which dehumanizes the persona, the young persona, because he describes him as a thing. So that human quality is taken away from the boy. But even though it's a dehumanizing description, it provides vivid visual imagery of the boy because of the combination of the two or the twin adjectives little and black. Now, A shows the aloneness of the boy. It shows that he's alone, he's single. There's no one with him. While little reveals his smallness and suggests that he's a child. Right? He's very small. Now, let's look at the figurative meaning, because this is the key aspect of it, even though we're told he's just a little small thing. In terms of the figurative meaning, a little black thing implies that the persona's situation is inconspicuous. So it's not something that everybody can see. It's hidden from greater society or from society. Black is maybe an allusion to the persona being covered in soot. Because remember, we are told that he's a chimney sweeper. So possibly, he goes through the chimneys that usually that are in houses where they turn on fire and then he hits the house. And so those places are usually covered in black smoke or soot. And that's what the little boy possibly has gone through. And so he's covered in that, and so he looks black. He's black essentially, like a charcoal kind of a person. But we're told that he's among the snow. Now this is really telling, because we see the use of juxtaposition, black and then snow. So the later part of the line, among the snow, powerfully contrasts the blackness of the persona of the little boy with the whiteness of the snow. Now, furthermore, the fact that there is snow, yet the persona is outside, or this little boy is outside, suggests that he's working, or implies that possibly he's working. And so it highlights the theme of child labor. And this is something that should be understood, because in the earliest portions of the Industrial Revolution, children were used as labor. So possibly this child was working, was laboring essentially. Then we see the use of auditory imagery, crying. So crying provides vivid auditory imagery of how loudly the persona screamed. Now, you observe the use of repetition and italics. So the word weep is repeated twice, weep, weep, but then it's also italicized. Now, it emphasizes the constancy of his wails, the boy's screams and loud cries, and shows that he shed tears, weep, weep. Possibly he is shedding tears, or is asking the listener to shed tears for him, to cry for him. When you're reading this poem, just think of somebody like Oliver Twist, Oliver Twist. So screaming also brings attention to the situation, because if he's very quiet, then attention would not come to him by screaming. Observe also the use of quotation marks as well, which signals that this speaker, like the overall speaker, is quoting the persona, is revealing verbatim the exact words that he's using. So that is the usefulness of the quotation marks that we see after each weep and then weep. Then the description in Notes of Woe suggests that the child has turned his cries into a song. Notes, he's crying, but then he's changed it into a song. So that means that it has predictable rhythm, pitch, or is a professional song that you can read in Notes of Woe. So you can see it in music and then read it. Now, the word woe also highlights that the song is full of distress, sadness, and sorrow, or it's a song of distress, of sadness, of sorrow. Again, observe the use of exclamation mark at the end of the line. So the exclamation mark at the end of the line shows how emotional and loud the persona's voice was. It was very, very loud. In the third line of the stanza, it says, we see where it says, "Where are thy father and mother?" Now, this is a clear show of concern from the speaker. So in the third line, the speaker inquires from this little boy, "Where are thy father and mother?" Which shows that he wants to know the whereabouts of the persona's parents, possibly because of how he looks, or with a shock that, I mean, what is this little boy doing outside in this kind of temperature or at this time? So we see that show of concern from the speaker. So he's not blinded by what's happening. He tries to find out what is up or what's happening with this little boy. Now, the use of the word die, okay, that, which is the archaic variant of the more modern second person pronoun you, signals that this is something that was written possibly in the Victorian era. In lines 1 and 3, the speaker, or somebody who can describe as a voice of conscience, is the person that brings focus on the persona. Because without him, would not have known what was happening with this persona, this small young boy, this little thing. Right? So it is him that brings focus on the persona by his description of him, before allowing the reader to hear directly from him. So think of it like, he's going around and then he sees this boy and then he asks, he speaks to the boy and says, where are the father and the mother? He does not, however, report what the boy says to us. He doesn't use indirect speech to paraphrase what the boy says. No. He allows the reader to hear directly from the boy. So the use of the quotation mark at the beginning of the fourth line of the first stanza signals that the speaker is quoting the persona's words or answer verbatim. And what is the answer? They are both gone up to church to pray. And that exposes that the persona knows the whereabouts of his parents, but essentially he has been abandoned. He's been left. This young boy has been left. He is not being taken care of by his parents. He's been abandoned by his parents, and they've gone to church. So that injects religion into the setting. And again, it's something that would have been possible because in that period, people were very religious and had the church had a central role or played a central role in the lives of people in that time. Now, they are both gone up to pray, also raises the themes of religion and parental dereliction of duty. So already in the first stanza of the poem, we see multiple themes. What was the first theme I mentioned? Do you remember? The first theme I mentioned was child labor. Did you get it correctly? Now we see themes like religion and parental dereliction of duty. So essentially, parents are not taking care of their children. And he also highlights that parents have gone up to seek God rather than taking care of their child. Now, if you're a Christian, it's something that you know that, it doesn't make sense because the Bible tells us that a man who cannot take care of the people of his household is worse than an unbeliever. But we see here that his mother and his father are both gone up. So this is not an orphan. He's somebody whose parents are alive, but then they've abandoned him in search of religion, in search of God. Possibly because that is something that, socially would have given them a tick or something that people would have, praised them for. Now, in terms of the themes of the poem, we see the theme of child labor or child abuse. Right? So, child labor, abuse, exploitation, and trauma. So, these children are traumatized. We also see the theme of religion, parental abandonment, and dereliction of duty. So, parents do not take care of their children. We see the Industrial Revolution. I think that's like the backdrop, of the poem. And then the rights of king, like I mentioned, among other details. So in terms of situation in history, it would have been during the Industrial Revolution at that time when the rights of king was like the hallmark or what people in society believed. In terms of the tone, the speaker is quite informative. Okay, he reveals things to the reader, and he's also quite inquisitive as well, questioning where are the father and mother, among other tones. Then in terms of the young persona's tone, he's very open. He's honest, and then there's also an aspect of sadness to him. They think they have done me no injury. So those are like some of the tones of the poem. So we see the tone of the speaker and then the tone of the young persona. Now, in terms of the points of view of the poem is recounted with a blend of the third person. And we see that, when the speaker is saying a little black and they and they and they, there is when the young persona is speaking. They also see the use of the singular and plural first person points of view. So singular when the young persona is speaking about himself, an I, or plural when the young persona is speaking about his experience and the experiences of the other young children. Now, in terms of the form and structure of the poem, and I also always explain this to my students, if you're looking to get either a grade 8 or a grade 9 or an A or an A star for the GCSE, you have to speak about the form and structure of the poem. So the poem has 12 lines in total, which is broken into 3 quatrain stanzas. So quatrain means that it has 4 lines. Each of the stanzas have 4 lines. With an AA, BB, then CACA, DE rhyme scheme. So which makes the entirety of the poem sound like a mournful cry and makes it unforgettable to the reader. So it has an AA, BB. So we see, couplets in the first 2 stanzas rhyme, and then in the first stanza rhymes, the first 2 lines of the first stanza rhymes, and then the second 2 lines of that's line 3 and 4 of the first stanza also rhymes as well. But then we see a change. CA, so CA sounds like snow again. So we see a repetition of that rhyme scheme, and then DE rhyme scheme. Now, additionally, the poet also employs an enjambment as well. And we see that in the flow of words from one line to the next. Right? So observe that the poet employs enjambment in the second stanza, seen in the flow of words from one line to the next. So, because I was happy upon the heath and smiled, so you see it flows down. And then they clothed me in clothes of death and taught me. So we see that as well. So the use of the enjambment here presents the speaker's desire to communicate the condition of the speaker. That's the young person's desire to communicate his condition to the reader, and also to us as well, to the reader and also to the speaker, because it's the speaker that has asked him the question. So that is it about the form and structure of the poem. So here you have it. William Blake's The Chimney Sweeper has been simplified. Again, like I mentioned, this analysis is part of a course in which I've analyzed all the 15 poems in your anthology. The course also contains predicted questions that you can try and answer, for each of the poems, and sample A star or grade 9 essays. I've written those essays. You can look at it and mimic it on what to do in the introduction, the body, and then the conclusion as well. Now, additionally, we provide tuition services as well. So for all the components of the English literature, so the prose, the poetry, which this is part of, the drama and the unseen paper as well, we have group sessions and then one-on-one sessions that you can sign up to. Now, additionally, if you need help in the other subjects like English language, history, geography, sociology, and in the sciences, math, and any of the other subjects, we have teachers with years of experience that can help build your confidence, help you practice past papers, and ensure that you have a very good grade as you prepare for your exam. So again, you can just sign up at www.quickestteachers.com, or you can just do me an email, or even write it in the comments. If you want to send me an email, you can send an email to mrq@mrquickestteachers.com. That's mrq@mrquickestteachers.com. Or you can also send me an email at mrquickestteachers@gmail.com. So thank you for joining the lesson. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments portion, and then I'll reach out to you. Until the next lesson, I'm Mr. Quickest. Bye-bye.